much do I say? What do I say? When do I say? Our children don't have phones. I think when George moves on to secondary school, then maybe he might have a phone that has no internet access.
But now how old is he now?
He's 12.
And he has no phones?
No phones.
No way.
And to be honest, it's getting to the point where it's becoming a little bit of a like tense issue. But I think he understands why. We communicate why we don't think it's right. And again, I think it's the internet access I have a problem with. I think children can access too much stuff they don't need to see online. And so having a phone and text message, the old.
Right. Nice try, William. I know what you're trying to do. I know you want us to see you as everyday person, but you're not an everyday person, William. You live in mansions. You live in castles. You live in palaces. You get paid 2 million, a month? Just to be Prince William, just to be who you are. So there's no way you can be like me or like Joe Blogs down the road. It's not possible. You need to start being authentic. Every time you speak, I can't connect. The connectivity is not there. No one can connect with you. You lack empathy. You lack warmth. There's nothing there to connect to. I find it very difficult to relate with whatever you're selling. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute with me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. And another thing is, we are very clear on the fact that you desperately want to be like your brother. You're always cosplaying him. You have no original idea, no original thought. Everything you do seems to be off the back of your brother. Whatever he does, you want to jump on there and shine when he's shining. Does that make sense? I find it difficult, William. I'm so sorry. Whatever you're trying to achieve, this rebranding or this trying to relate with the normal people, nah. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. No way. Guys, let me know what you think. Do you think this is working for you? It's not working for me. I'm I don't know what to say, but yeah, I don't think so, William. Sorry, no.
In your camera roll in 2020, and you've done it in 2022 after I've done it.
Like,
Chelsea, come on now.
You bought the same jacket as the girl.
Chelsea, come on now.
Right, you bought the same outfit as the girl.
Chelsea, come on now.
You gone on holiday, you're talking about, oh, you had a...
During my research into Piers Morgan for my series, there were so many examples of Piers changing his mind or contradicting himself that I had to make a separate video. Here we go.
Marrying into a family which has, to put it mildly, a dodgy track record on race. It's not Meghan Markle's problem, it's their problem.
Boop. There he is in 2020 saying that Meghan Markle is using the race card. He also then claims in January of 2022 that Prince Harry is the only racist in the British royal family. Okay. Moving right along, this article from November 2016, Meghan and I chatted for 90 minutes, long enough for me to get a good insight into the new royal girlfriend. Quote, Meghan's got beauty, brains, charm, and a great sense of humor. She's also an ambitious, hardworking, and talented actress with an impressive passion for things she believes in. Another quote, Harry, ignore all the poisonous rubbish you are reading or hearing about her. Meghan Markle is perfect princess material. Whoops, December 2018, Piers Morgan, Meghan Markle is a ruthless social climbing actress who has landed the role of her life and is determined to milk it for all she can. And that's why the palace is beginning to turn on her. Talk about all that poisonous, vile rubbish that you told Harry to ignore. This one is incredible. May 2018. Piers Morgan. Meghan's foolish father has no one to blame but himself for missing the biggest day of his daughter's life. 1 month later. I've changed my mind about Meghan's dad. He's just a shy, decent man struggling to deal with the mayhem of his little princess marrying a prince. Piers Morgan reveals the inside story of his incredible scoop. Here's one from September of 2022. Piers Morgan. Prince Harry's vow to honor his father should include dropping his salacious book and rein in Meghan Markle. So the spin here is that Meghan Markle needs to be controlled and reined in by Prince Harry. Oh, oops, December 2022, just 3 months later, Piers Morgan. Prince Harry surely knows deep down he's being manipulated by his wife into abandoning the country he once loved. So is she someone that needs to be reined in by her husband, or can she not be reined in because she's a master manipulator? And can you please stick to one storyline for the entire calendar year, dear God? So anyway, that's Piers fighting with Piers.
Can we have a conversation, please, about Piers Morgan? on Talk Radio, and I'm amazed that nowhere else has picked up on this story. Now, I love Piers Morgan. I really do. I think that he's turned around Good Morning Britain. I think that he is, when he does life stories and when he does certain TV shows where he's interviewing people in the public eye, I think he is one of the best interviewers that we have here in the UK. When he's genuinely passionate about his subject, I think he's great. What I don't appreciate so much about Piers Morgan is the fact that increasingly I feel like his stance on subjects is more about promoting brand Piers Morgan than it is about having a genuinely held belief. In fact, that's probably reflective of the kind of clickbait media environment that we are in nowadays. And Piers Morgan is one of the main proponents of that. Piers Morgan is one of the main culprits when it comes to clickbait journalism. And when it comes to changing one's opinion with the wind. Now, I could tell you article after article after article that Piers Morgan has written, and you can look at his Twitter feed anytime, day or night, to see that he preaches hypocrisy, he preaches disrespect, he says that Harry and Meghan are absolutely outrageous towards the monarchy. Here's one. Piers Morgan brands Meghan Markle a mini royal Kardashian. Here's another one. Piers Morgan lashing out at Harry and Meghan for their staggering disrespect for the Queen. In fact, there are endless articles. Here's a list of them. Endless articles of Piers Morgan where he has gone on at Harry and Meghan. Stop playing the victim, Harry. You and Meghan brought negative press on yourselves. Piers Morgan, if you're truly a humanitarian, Meghan, show some damn heart to your loving father. Another one here. Why Meghan self-indulgent empowering banana was a humiliating farce. Meghan Markle is a ruthless social climbing actress. Piers Morgan, foolish father of Meghan, but no one has to blame but himself for missing the biggest day of his daughter's life. That's actually almost pro-Meghan. Meghan's appearance at Queen's birthday proves her decision to go MIA during Trump's state visit was a shameful failure of her royal duty. Fair enough. Piers Morgan, if you want to write articles criticising Meghan Markle, that's absolutely fine. If you want to write articles criticising Prince Harry, that's absolutely fine. But don't talk to me about hypocrisy of Meghan and Harry, and don't talk to me about disrespecting the monarchy. Piers Morgan, you are in no position, as much as I absolutely love you on Good Morning Britain, you are in absolutely no position to preach respect for the royal family. You are in no position to write an article where you actually discuss the staggering disrespect, your words, towards the monarchy. Because if you are that concerned, Piers Morgan, about respect for the monarchy, then what were you doing appearing in the 2011 documentary presented by Keith Allen, financed by Mohammed Al Fayed, suggesting that the royal family and the British establishment were complicit in the murder of Diana, Princess of Wales? You didn't just appear in that documentary once. You were interviewed about 3 times during that documentary. And I'll give you some direct quotes from it of what you actually said in that documentary, will I, Piers? It's weird that at a time when you know the establishment can think of nothing worse than Dodi Fayed, son of Mohammed, marrying, possibly impregnating Diana, that she's conducting a major international offence against landmines, with all the crippling economic problems that would bring for the British establishment again, and America. If you add all of these into the mix, then if you were ever going to do something dodgy to Diana, that's the time you would do it. She'd become trouble. As she used to say to me, I'm trouble to them. I won't go away. I won't go away quietly. Then the voiceover sums up Piers' words by saying, presidents have been killed for less. So, if you're talking about disrespect to the monarchy, Piers, well, what are you doing appearing in a documentary when perhaps times were a bit tougher for you, and perhaps when work was a little more thin on the ground, what are you doing appearing in a documentary that suggests that the establishment and the royal family murdered Diana? What are you doing appearing in a documentary, Unlawful Killing, in 2011, that is so controversial, that is so libelous towards Prince Philip and members of the royal family? It's been banned here in the United Kingdom. That documentary is banned. It's not allowed to be shown here in the UK. The reason? Because the allegations in there are completely unfounded, and it is so libelous towards members of the royal family, so libelous specifically towards Prince Philip, of course the Queen's husband, that it can't be shown here in the UK. Yet you were prepared to appear in it. You were prepared to appear in a documentary in which the premise is that the Queen's husband was behind the murder of Diana, Princess of Wales. You directly reference in that documentary the reason that that might be the case was the fact that she was going out with Dodi Fayed. Now, if that is not an implication of that murder being and having racist implications, well, then I don't know what is. So surely, if this was your genuinely held view back in 2011, Piers, you should be applauding Harry and Meghan wanting to leave the royal family. You should be absolutely patting them on the back. You should be saying how brilliant it is that they want to be away from the British establishment and MI5 and all of those agencies that you directly reference in this documentary as being behind the murder of his mother. Unless, of course, you'll say anything in order to further your own career. And at the time, it suited your career to go on the record saying this. Now, you've changed your tune because you know it'll sell more newspapers and get more clicks for you to have said that basically they're being disrespectful towards Her Majesty and disrespectful towards the establishment. An establishment that you were prepared to go onto a documentary say was behind the murder of Diana. It's unbelievable. And it's unbelievable hypocrisy. So don't preach to us about hypocrisy of Jamila Jamal. Don't preach to us the hypocrisy of people who are not...
Remember that when you say they can't do anything to stop the attack on Meghan and Harry. Remember that. Guys, check this out. Then look at this. I saw these pictures on SK's Twitter page, so shout out to SK on Twitter. It looks like the palace code. Because why did they change that picture with Kate Middleton to another one? This is for the people that like to say, oh, there's nothing the royals can do when they post stories and blah, blah, blah. There's so much they could do, and they do it all the time because they swap the pictures. It's so clear, it's so obvious. Original, updated. This is so interesting to see because the fans, the royal family fans, the derangers, they always claim that there's nothing the royal family can do when they post pictures of Meghan or they write nasty things about her. But this proves that actually they can. They just don't want to. In fact, some of those stories actually come from them. But wait, during that state visit, it was a state visit, right? When Trump came to the UK and was hosted by the royal family, they were very happy when Kate Middleton or Catherine or Princess of Wales or whatever you want to call her, because they're going to cry on this video because I called her Kate. They were so happy when she sat next to Trump. They came into my comments and were like, oh, Meghan is jealous because Kate sat next to Trump, and they looked into each other's eyes and smiled. So why are they now trying to dissociate themselves with it? Is it because of all the emails that have come out about Trump? Could that be the reason why? But I mean, everybody knew this link Trump had with Jeffrey Epstein, so it's not new. And Kay still sat there and smiled at him lovingly, you know. So why are they trying to dissociate themselves now? It's too late for that, babes. It's too late for that. The Times changed their picture to suit their needs. Remember that when you say they can't do anything to stop the attack on Meghan and Harry. Remember
I don't believe race is a factor. I'm sorry. I really don't. Look at the way. I mean, of course there are some idiots around, and there are some racists around. You know, we all know that. But look at the reception that Meghan had when she arrived here. We took her to our hearts. The British were thrilled about her marrying into the royal family, and they were thrilled because she was mixed race. That was one real plus.
Have you not heard that? Did you check in with any Black Britons before you made that determination?
I hear what you're saying, and I know that there are some people, you know, there are many people in this country who are black or who are of colour who feel that they are in a racist society. Equally, there are other people who are also of colour who do not feel they're in a racist society. It depends upon your personal experience.
Well, Penny, I don't think you have to have personal experience to have your baby portrayed as a chimp and it says royal couple leaving the hospital. That's very hurtful, and that is in fact very racist.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that. Sorry, I'm not trying to defend things like that. I'm absolutely not.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that I think that the overweening sentiment of the British public was to be enthusiastic about Meghan, to welcome her. We wanted, I mean, she came into the royal family, and because she was of colour, it made a whole lot of coloured people in our country suddenly find that the monarchy was relevant for them.
Well, it certainly seems to have taken a turn. It'll be interesting to see how this big meeting turns out today. We're all very hopeful. Yeah, it's a win-win for everybody.
But I really hope we don't lose them.
Yes, I do too.
We go further. This is a privately leaked WhatsApp conversation with a former Tory friend. The remarks about Prince Harry's fiancée, claiming that black actresses' entry into the royal family would pave the way for a black king. During this shocking tirade, you claimed that you would never have sex, and I find this word hard to say out loud, but I'm going to say it in the context of what it was. You would never have sex with a Negro. You described black people as ugly. You suggested that Meghan would taint the royal family because she is mixed race. I mean, you know, you just don't sound like a very nice person.
It doesn't sound very nice, no. There's a lot in there, what you said. Meghan Markle, I think my comments about her were disgusting. They were meant to shock, and they were private, and I never intended them to be put in the
But at that point, you were in the public eye.
No, I wasn't.
No. At no point. So have you tempered what you said because you are in the public eye?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know.
I try to work it out what it is about her that irritates people. And what have you come up with? I think maybe it's because she's American, and maybe we feel that Harry should have married an English rose.
How does it work with us paying for the royals? Okay, the first thing to say is that the royal family in this country costs many, many times more than royal families do in mainland Europe. In mainland Europe, it typically costs between about 5 million and 40 million a year. Ours costs monumentally more than that, in all sorts of ways. First of all, there's a sovereign grant, which is the main form of funding, and this is the one that they publicise as being how they get their money. The civil list it replaced in 2011, they got 7.9 million from the civil list. Last year, the sovereign grant was 86 million. So that's the increase there's been since 2011. More than 10, 11 times increase. Wow. Which no one else has had in this country, just the royal family. One of the richest people in the country, one of the richest families in the country, has had the biggest pay increase, paid for by the public purse, at a time when people are struggling with the cost of living crisis, when they can't afford energy bills and everything else. They're coining it. So that's the main form of income. But there's all the other hidden forms of income. There's the Duchy of Cornwall and Duchy of Lancaster. The Duchy of Cornwall, which is a kind of slush fund for Prince of Wales, produces a profit of over £20 million a year for William for doing nothing.
He singled out one group of people in this country that has stood up for the couple.
Over 70 members of Parliament, female members of Parliament, called out the articles and headlines written about Meghan. Yet no one from my family ever said anything over those 3 years. That hurts.
This is the letter written to Meghan by female members of Parliament in 2019, taking aim at the outdated colonial undertones of some reporting and saying they share an understanding of the abuse and intimidation. Holly Lynch wrote the letter.
That we've got a responsibility to them. So it's not only about stepping in to try and protect the Duchess of Sussex, but to all those young women who'll be feeling utterly let down by the nature of those headlines and feeling powerless if they were in the same situation.
The executive director of the Society of Editors, a group that defends media freedom, said on Monday that the press here is, quote, not bigoted, and that it was not acceptable for the Duke and Duchess to make such claims without providing any supporting evidence. He's now resigned following a backlash from journalists. Anthony.
Holly Williams in London. Yeah, and this is something we've talked about.
You got an unexpected phone call this morning.
Yes, I did. Here in Westminster, got a phone call. It was Buckingham Palace asking me was I available to speak to the Duchess of Sussex. She was calling to thank myself and other women MPs for standing with her, sending the open letter to say we as women in public office absolutely understand what she's going through, although in very different public roles. We stand with her in solidarity to say that we shouldn't be tearing down women in public life through the press or otherwise. And so, yes, she was pleased to have seen that letter.
And what did you say to her?
As a fairly new mum myself, the challenges of both being in the public eye, managing childcare, managing public responsibilities cannot all be a challenge. So we did discuss that, but yeah, we were quite happy to stand with her in recognising that what she's going through has on occasion had xenophobic undertones. We're not happy about that at all. We stand with her in challenging that, and we will look to do everything we can at this end if some of our national press do not have a healthier, shall we say, interests in her life.
And you think there are colonial racist undertones to it?
I do. I've been really concerned about some of the narratives, some of the articles that have been incredibly sexist, but also that she is not from this country, she's from elsewhere, and that we're not happy about that. I'm afraid that's unacceptable in this day and age. She's here, she's married our prince, they've got a young son. We really want to welcome her to our society, and I'm afraid not all of the articles in our national press really reflect that, and it's time that that stops. She would have expected a degree of press interest and public interest. What she wouldn't have expected was xenophobic undertones to some of that interest. It doesn't matter who you are in public life, you should never be subject to that on an almost daily basis now. The nature of some of those articles, that she is from another country, she's an outsider, she's got an accent, that we don't trust that we dislike that. I'm sorry, I feel like all of that is incredibly outdated and inappropriate now in our mainstream press. And that's why women MPs came together to just say, no, you're absolutely right to call that out. We recognise it as well, and we're not going to stand for it. So we want to achieve two things with this letter. It was sent directly to Meghan Markle to say, look, on a personal level, we know what you're going through. We're standing with you and calling this out, and you've got some moral support here. But it was a public letter, an open letter, so that those engaged in writing those types of articles see it, think, OK, could we be doing better? Should we be doing better? I hope that this will be a gentle nudge to start to moderate some of that interest in a healthier way than what we're seeing at the moment. She would have expected a degree of press interest and public interest. What she wouldn't have expected was xenophobic undertones to some of that interest. It doesn't matter who you are in public life, you should never be subject to that on an almost daily basis now. The nature of some of those articles, that she is from another country, she's an outsider, she's got an accent, that we don't trust that we dislike that. I'm sorry, I feel like all of that is incredibly outdated and inappropriate now in our mainstream press. And that's why women MPs came together to just say, no, you're absolutely right to call that out. We recognise it as well, and we're not going to stand for it. So we want to achieve two things with this letter. It was sent directly to Meghan Markle to say, look, on a personal level, we know what you're going through. We're standing with you and calling this out, and you've got some moral support here. But it was a public letter, an open letter, so that those engaged in writing those types of articles see it, think, OK, could we be doing better? Should we be doing better? I hope that this will be a gentle nudge to start to moderate some of that interest
Number 4, she wasn't black until the royals. Now, this is what a lot of racists say to negate and to overlook their own racism towards her. Pretty much gaslighting. Or they say, I didn't even know she was black. Really? 2 days after Harry and Meghan's relationship was even revealed to the world, this article was released. And it was set the whole entire world into shock that it was even written. And for 5 days straight after this article, there would be a racist or racially charged article released. But as far as Meghan never claiming her blackness, that's an utter lie. She wrote an entire article in Elle magazine speaking about her black and white heritage, her mixed heritage, her blackness, and everything in between. Here's a love letter, Happy Mother's Day post on her infamous TIG blog site showing her black mother, speaking about her black mother. Yes, she clearly was trying to hide her blackness. Clearly. And mind you, this is all before Harry and the royals.
Things to be better. Quite honestly, your race is part of what defines you. I think what shifts things is that the world really treats you based on how you look. Certain people don't look at me and see me as a black woman or a biracial woman. They treat me differently, I think, than they would if they knew what I was mixed with. And I think that...
And it's quite funny that the main people who's always talking about they don't see color and racism doesn't exist anymore are now the main people who's quite aware or accusing someone else of not being aware of their race.
And the other thing he said was that when he was in the army, he just wished he wasn't a prince. And that's when I think this longing to be out of the royal family, maybe it was subconscious, but I remember that remark so well. And the author, Gilly Cooper...
I think the turning point came that, you know, the royals may be tone deaf, but Charles can hear someone shouting at him in public, and he is not used to turning up at an ordinary event and someone shouting, how much did you know then? It was really fast after that. And if I was pushed, I would say he decided then this process of slowly acting, which, you know, the royal family tends to do, doesn't work anymore. Flunky, who's our royal correspondent, pointed out last issue, a lot of royal correspondents say, no, it's incredibly difficult for him to strip away these titles, and you need a huge amount of parliamentary time, and we can't possibly do that. We actually de-kinged someone once in the abdication, and the amount of parliamentary time was one morning. We can do this stuff if we want to.
You should say that's the second time we've de-kinged someone, and the first time was actually even faster than that in 1649.
Oh, yeah, I thought we were doing Charles I, but you're right, we're doing Edward VIII. Yeah. Okay, right, good.
The next monarch will be much more ruthless. When William is king...
And for anyone thinking, well, that didn't happen on the watch of the modern monarchy, it is worth knowing one of the most brutal atrocities carried out by the British actually happened in the first 8 years of Elizabeth's reign, and when Charles was alive. Because in the 1950s, while Kenya was still a British colony, an armed rebellion was launched by the Kikuyu people, who had lost land to white settlers and found themselves locked into a formal racial hierarchy that placed Europeans on top and Africans at the bottom. The British sent army reinforcements to put down the so-called Mau Mau uprising, describing the situation to the world back then like this.
Agitators urged some of the Africans to free their country of the white man. There is little reliable information about the setup of the terrorist organization, for few members even know from whom they take their orders. They obey blindly, savagely attacking the defenseless, burning, looting, murdering. Kenya is the battlefield of a conflict that cannot end until the Mau Mau is dissolved forever.
Oh, righty-ho. The trouble in Kenya comes not from the British who took over and stole land, but from the people whose land was stolen. Now, is there more to this story? Surely, but will you hear it coming from a voice that sounds like this? I say never! Never, I say! In crushing the uprising, the British instituted a system of detention camps, and 90,000 Kenyans were executed, tortured or maimed during the crackdown, and an estimated 160,000 were detained in appalling conditions. Long time, the British met outcry over this with a mixture of denial and defensiveness. In fact, just watch this interview with a former British colonial officer who'd been responsible for at least 6 of those detention camps. When asked about reports that soldiers had put their boots on the necks of detainees, he has an escalating exchange, culminating in the single longest pause you will ever see on television. I'll warn you, however long you think this pause is going to be, it's going to be much longer.
Did you have cause to give the order to, or yourself put your boot on their neck of these resistors, the ones that were howling?
Can we stop talking for a moment?
No, because I'd quite like you to answer that.
I will answer it when I have stopped talking for a moment. I'm sorry, but I...
Well, do you have a problem with that question?
No,
Did you have cause to give the order to, or yourself put your boot on their neck of these resistors, the ones that were howling?
Can we stop talking for a moment?
No, because I'd quite like you to answer that.
I will answer it when I have stopped talking for a moment. I'm sorry, but I...
Well, do you have a problem with that question?
No, it's a hypothetical question.
No, it's not. It's a very precise
You've
question.
asked me, did I put my foot on anybody's neck? No.
Did you cause the order to be given? Did you give the order to do that? Are you not going to answer the question?
No, I'm looking at you with certain thoughts in my mind.
Holy shit! If you're trying to conceal your role in supervising torture, here's a few quick tips. Don't respond to a simple question by taking a full 23 seconds to answer. Don't then issue a vague threat like some kind of cartoon villain. And finally, try not to glare malevolently at the interviewer with what I can only describe as war crime eyes. And just to be clear, we don't know what the Queen knew. What she is briefed on is kept secret, very conveniently, but we do know what was done in her name by her government. Her face was on the money in Kenya. When Kenyan's captors sang their national anthem, it was a hymn to her protection. And we do know that she was not only characteristically silent about those atrocities, you know, in that charming style that everybody loved, but she also awarded that man an MBE, one of the country's highest honours, which is just appalling.
There were protests throughout Africa. Britain was seen as helping the Nigerian government to pursue a policy of genocide. The scandal also split opinion in Britain.
Should we stop sending arms to Nigeria? Whether this would have any effect or not, should we stop sending them now?
Yes.
Hugh Fraser.
To my mind, it's a very simple, and the answer is yes. The alternative is, as proposed by people like Woodrow Wyatt, an MP in the Times today, to keep up with the Russians. This is morally absolutely intolerable. It's politically inept. Your policy is losing out. You're making a fool of ourselves throughout the world. The people are regarding this country with moral obloquy. It's not this merely question. The policy has failed.
If we don't supply arms to the Nigerian government, the Russians are going to go on doing it. The Russians have told the Nigerian government that whatever happens, they're going to see them through to victory. Well, is it wise that we should allow the whole of this vast area, with 52 million people in it, with more oil in it than Kuwait, to fall into the hands of the Russians? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
The federal government won, helped by the British arms.
And until the Mau Mau are destroyed, the innocent, too, must suffer.
The entire history that we are told about British imperialism is a lie. Sir Evelyn Baring was governor of Kenya when Kenya was a colonial possession of the United Kingdoms. And while he was there in the 1950s, he instituted a system of concentration camps. Almost the entire population of the Kikuyu people, then numbering over 1 million people. Huge numbers died, some of them of starvation and disease, many beaten to death, burnt to death, tortured to death. Repeatedly, men were castrated. Crush men's testicles and then to cut them off. They raped women with bayonets. They raped men. In some camps, almost the entire population of children died.
And until the Mau Mau are destroyed, the innocent too must suffer.
When Labour MPs asked inconvenient questions about this, on one particular occasion when 11 men were beaten to death, he told the Colonial Secretary to tell the MPs that they had died from drinking contaminated water. Before Britain left Kenya, there was an order sent down, implemented by Special Branch, to conduct what they called a thorough purge of the archives. They burnt crate after crate of documents, be packed into weighted crates, taken as far from the coast as practicable, and dumped into very deep water without currents. The massive fabric of lies, of deletions, which has airbrushed the colonial atrocities practiced everywhere we went. Institutional racism to systemic racism, and a huge part of that ideology began here in the United Kingdom to justify our seizure of other people's resources and other people's lives. These relationships continue by other means. Through our trade relationships today, which are often highly coercive, enforced by offshore tribunals of corporate lawyers, basically forcing countries to give up their natural resources, enforced by international debt, and what we see is a net drain of wealth from the poor nations into the rich nations. This wealth is not just being taken from other people in the world today, it's also being taken from future generations.
And until the Mau Mau are destroyed, the innocent too must suffer.
The entire history that we are told about British imperialism is a lie. Sir Evelyn Baring was governor of Kenya when Kenya was a colonial possession of the United Kingdoms. And while he was there in the 1950s, he instituted a system of concentration camps. Almost the entire population of the Kikuyu people, then numbering over 1 million people. Huge numbers died, some of them of starvation and disease, many beaten to death, burnt to death, tortured to death. Repeatedly, men were castrated. Crush men's testicles and then to cut them off. They raped women with bayonets. They raped men. In some camps, almost the entire population of children died.
And until the Mau Mau are destroyed, the innocent too must suffer.
When Labour MPs asked inconvenient questions about this, on one particular occasion when 11 men were beaten to death, he told the Colonial Secretary to tell the MPs that they had died from drinking contaminated water. Before Britain left Kenya, there was an order sent down, implemented by Special Branch, to conduct what they called a thorough purge of the archives. They burnt crate after crate of documents, be packed into weighted crates, taken as far from the coast as practicable, and dumped into very deep water without currents. The massive fabric of lies, of deletions, which has airbrushed the colonial atrocities practiced everywhere we went. Institutional racism to systemic racism, and a huge part of that ideology began here in the United Kingdom to justify our seizure of other people's resources and other people's lives. These relationships continue by other means. Through our trade relationships today, which are often highly coercive, enforced by offshore tribunals of corporate lawyers, basically forcing countries to give up their natural resources, enforced by international debt, and what we see is a net drain of wealth from the poor nations into the rich nations. This wealth is not just being taken from other people in the world today, it's also being taken from future generations.
I just saying lots of bad stuff about Boo Boo. It says Boo Boo ain't looking no cute. It says Boo Boo's a little bit crazy. And Boo Boo's really your food. A rapper county. County. A rapper how? A rap salabo. Salapo.
Slapo? That part.
What is that about?
That's it. It's
what
about...
is salap?
Well, you're hearing it. You will see.
Nava. Salapa.
Oh. Slapa. Oh. County. Slapa. Oh.
Salapa. Nava. Nava.
Oh.
Arapa.
Oh. Slapa.
Salapa.
Oh.
Did you all hear that?
You're turning red over there.
I am red.
This beautiful black lady turning red.
Uh-huh. That's how black people, we blush, we turn red. That is funny. And boy, I turned red. So you want me to wait for coffee?
Yeah, I'll be done in a second.
Like in 1 second? 2 seconds?
2.
3 seconds. Isn't that a lot of water for that coffee? You probably need to make half of that.
It doesn't matter how much. It's gonna be strong.
Well, you want to make it strong, then don't put too much water. Well, what is it? What's the idea behind it, brother?
Coffee? He's so hungry he dragged his plate across the floor.
He did, huh? Salapa Hawa. Oh.
Look what I got yesterday.
What is it? For who? For me?
There you go. I got it for you.
Oh, thank you. Mwah. That's so cute, huh? It's gonna fit in my little car thing.
Yeah, I think it's too small. I don't know, it might spill.
If it's too small?
I hope it's not too small.
But how much coffee you gonna put in here?
You want a little or a lot?
Not a lot. I want little. Very little.
I just think...
You know, I don't really drink that much of coffee.
Yeah, you don't drink a lot of coffee.
I don't.
A little bit of coffee.
A little bit of coffee, and I don't really care about that coffee. I'll be okay if there is no
drink
coffee.
The creamer, a whole cup.
I'll drink creamer and sugar, but not lots of coffee. Don't put too much. That's enough. I do not want to sugar myself up. That's a lot of creamer. Did you just add that? Why?
I added a little bit more.
Why?
Because I gotta sugar you up.
Why do you want to sugar me up?
I gotta get you all hyper.
Okay.
We're down to the last two.
There's more?
One more.
Well, at least something.
This lasted a while though. Almost a month. No.
How long? Oof, I'm yawning.
3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks. Well, by 3 or 4 weeks, that's a month.
Yeah, that'd be a month.
Husband, how do you say 4 weeks is the end of 1 month? You really need that caffeine. You really need coffee to wake up. Are you working from home today or?
No, I haven't worked yet. I don't do it, who will?
Oh?
I don't do it, who will?
Rob?
No, me.
If you don't go work, who's gonna do the work? Rob. You got lots of people working on you.
It's true.
Did you train them yesterday?
Yeah.
Right now they like
now they're
coffee.
without excuse of all the other productivity. They know exactly what needs to be done, and if they don't do it, because they choose not to do it. And that's what I needed to see.
Did you tell them that?
Oh, I did. They didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. They were not happy with the fact that I was pretty much telling them this is the last straw, everybody.
Both of them were here?
All 3 of them were here.
Oh.
Okay. The 3 managers were here. And you can't be the manager of my company and act like a employee.
Right.
But
well,
sure
they're gonna learn.
They're gonna learn. I mean, this is a pretty simple job.
Right. Right. Well, they all matured, grown people. I hope they get everything together. Because
I have 4 employees, but one of them is actually an employee. He's part-time.
Like a part-time employee, one of your employees?
Yeah, he's part-time. He only works weekends.
Which one is that?
His name is